Hello! After all this time, I have returned to YouTube for a little bit. So yeah, a lot of my new subscribers have found my channel because my best friend Megan makes videos about being an ENFJ, and she has pointed to me as her ENFP best friend who lives on the West Coast as someone who has a lot of insight into what it's like to have extroverted intuition and introverted feeling. I, because I don't really have a lot of extroverted sensing, and because I haven't been conditioned in a way through my introverted sensing to value, I guess, public speaking of sorts, I get intimidated really easily when it comes to making things that don't entail me sharing about my own experiences. So this is a little different than how I usually make vlogs about my personal life. This is more about my perspectives on a certain type, and it's not going to be probably very objective. It's going to be a little mix of my personal experience, so just take this not as gospel. This is just me, another unique, as we all are, ENFP, just talking about extroverted feeling and my experiences with FJs. But yeah, I figured this would be something interesting for those of you on the internet who've been following Megan and are curious about, I guess, the perspectives of one of her biggest influences, which is me. So yeah. Anyways, so to start off, I'm an ENFP, and I'm someone who really values a lot of my extroverted thinking. Like, I love TE so much. All of my dream guys have always been TJs. I tend to get along naturally very well with TJs, and it's my tertiary function, TE, so it's like my weakest function, but I really care a lot about it. I care a lot about being smart, about looking smart, and, you know, like when I was a kid, I grew up in a very Asian American community. We were really told that being intellectual was where our worth would come from. So I really cared a lot about critical thinking and being able to, I guess, get shit done, which often to me felt like, because I lacked introverted thinking, I couldn't get things done or be as efficient as I wished I could be. And I've just basically been conditioned to really value introverted thinking. I see it as this magic function where whatever situation you get yourself in, you'll have an opinion on how to move forward, how to get by. Like, if I was on a deserted island, I would not starve to death as fast maybe as other people if I could use introverted thinking to figure out what the best way for me would be to, like, I don't know, like start a fire, find something. More like, I know that as an ENFP in a situation that I could not have fathomed happening, I would have no fucking clue how to prepare. So I've compensated in my life by researching a lot of different topics. Essentially for me, the way a lack of introverted thinking has manifested is if I'm given new information on a topic that I had never heard of or researched, I cannot form a coherent, tangible, logical thought, and I hate being caught off surprise because of that. And so my TE is superpowered because I just, for fun, read Wikipedia, the dictionary, research all these obscure things, just so my introverted sensing and introverted feeling can back me up if I'm ever caught in an intellectual doozy. I will have some point of reference. But otherwise, I view introverted thinking as this mystical archive of every thought you could have ever had, and being able to judge the validity of those thoughts against the reality in front of you. So I'm just someone who idolizes introverted thinking. Now you're probably wondering, okay, when is she going to get to the point about her and FJs? Well, I've diagnosed this ability to value my introverted thinking, or tendency to value my introverted thinking, as the biggest reason I clash hardcore with FJs. And those are people with extroverted feeling dominance, so ENFJs, ESFJs, INFJs, and ISFJs. But I guess I think I clash more with EFJs, so ENFJs and ESFJs. And why is that? Well, my understanding of it is that because I lack introverted thinking, but I care so much about being smart and logical, that I relegate to using extroverted thinking a lot of the time to explain things. I'll just say like one blanket fact to get my point across. Like often what EFJs seem to do is they'll ask me, why are you doing it that way? And I'll be like, because this is what works, or like some variation of that. And for most people with more extroverted thinking, and this isn't just like FPs or TJs, this is also TPs, because they have more extroverted thinking than an FJ. For an FJ, their introverted thinking looks at me and they can't follow my stream of consciousness because it's not based in introverted thinking, but they think it is. So they'll ask me, but to me it sounds judgmental. It's like, why are you doing it that way? If a TJ said that to me, it would be rhetorically being like, you're wrong, you should not be doing it that way. An FJ is like, that seems kind of funny to me. Do you have a reason for that? But to me, it looks like they've already made a judgment that what I'm doing is wrong. So my mom, who is an ESFJ, has done this to me my whole life, and she's also kind of stubborn to begin with. So I have reacted off a lifetime of feeling really underestimated and undermined by anyone who says anything that resembles that, which leads me to clash a lot with EFJs in general, because every time I hear that, I just assume they're judging me and they think I'm dumb for doing it that way, and they're just rhetorically and passive-aggressively trying to get me to change, when really they just want to hear me explain it. But see, when I try to explain it, it's not rooted in any introverted thinking. It's just rooted in extroverted thinking, like a result. This is what I'm trying to get to. And they don't get that. They don't think about things in terms of extroverted thinking results. They're more like, this is something that works for me, I'm doing it this way. They look at my methods and they're like, well, nothing you're doing seems to be really like a solidified way you're doing it, so why? And then I get frustrated because I already can tell in advance that me trying to explain it is not going to get through to them because it's a fundamental clash in how we receive information. So then I get defensive, and then they get kind of defensive because they, as a J, are reading my reaction and assuming they're doing something wrong, when really half the time it's me assuming things that might not be correct about them, and then it just spirals off and such. So yeah, ironically, the people I love the most in my life, who I dearly, dearly care about a lot, are EFJs. But because they challenge me the most. And as an ENFP, I can tell you, it is hard being challenged by the external world because we already view it as an enemy. But ironically so, ENFJs are some of the best people I've ever met, and ESFJs can be some of the worst people I've met, but with the best intentions, depending on my mood. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, because the whole reason why I even know a lot about Myers-Briggs and cognitive functions and socionics is because of my ENFJ best friend. Now, let's get one thing straight. I don't know where the fuck I'd be without her. Like, she inspires me to be better. She is single-handedly responsible for like maybe 70% of the perceptions that have really changed my life and helped me get through some of the worst years so far. Like, I've had a lot of personal trauma in the last couple of years, but she was there through all of it, really helping me expand my perspective. But at the same time, I've also never fought as much with anyone or cried as much with anyone, and that's unnatural for me. My introverted sensing is just used to kind of keeping people at arm's length. So I don't think I enjoy this aspect of intimacy, but I know it's beneficial and I will never stop pursuing it. And she sees that in me naturally with her introverted intuition. And yeah, like I love growth, but I also am kind of a scaredy cat and baby when it comes to the hard parts of growth, which is gradually getting to where you want to be. Anyways, so, oh god, like half the time, like, I think one thing that I forget about myself is I care a lot about being smart compared to a lot of ENFPs, because I'll see all these ENFPs and their best friends are FJs, and I'm like, I don't feel like you guys fight as much as me and Megan do, though. And I think it's because I'm one of those weird people who distrusts extroverted feeling, like, a lot. Like, I'm the kind of person who's all about walking the walk. I'm the kind of person who is more about talking the talk, but I feel like FJs care so much about walking the walk that we clash a lot when we both realize the other person isn't quite aligning with what we think is right. So yeah, I think that FE can seem kind of fake and pushy and judgmental when it doesn't mean to be, because actually it's very eager to please, extremely honest. Like, they're not gonna bullshit you with TE. They're gonna tell you what they really think. Like, they're not gonna lie to your face. Maybe they won't like be like super open about it, depending on if they're like an ESFJ and they feel a little nervous about sharing a new opinion, but they're not gonna like bullshit you or just straight up lie to you without, they're being like I feel like a lot of the times I like to kind of bullshit people. I think maybe it's a TE thing, but yeah, they're eager to please, honest, straightforward. Like they're not gonna, like I said, they're not gonna bullshit you. They're really curious when they make things that say things I think are judgmental. They're actually being very well intentioned and they want to hear my perspective, but I just don't interpret it as thus. So ironically, what I dislike about FE is often it discounts truths my TE sees that make me think it's cold-hearted when really it's not. But my lack of introverted thinking can't comprehend this kind of nuance. So yeah, I guess I just think that all the times EXFJs seem unaware and closed-minded to new TE facts that I'm trying to give them, but the one thing I really value about them is, especially with Megan as an ENFJ, she will continue to push forward and persevere. A lot of TEs are like, this is just the way it is, give up. No, like ENFJs are visionaries because they just keep pursuing that vision. They keep going for it. They're not going to withdraw and secretly judge you. They don't believe in that shit. Like, a spade is a spade when it comes to them. And even the more passive ENFJs I know, they still don't withdraw, I think. They just don't try to bullshit me. And I like that. Like, what I see is what I get with them. And however judgmental I may be subconsciously about it, I just know that it's easy to kind of read them. And really, we kind of need people like that who are very honest and authentic. And even ESFJs, as much as they annoy me, they really do mean well. They really do think that the way their introverted sensing has seen how things work for them, they want that to be for everyone. I think that I really care about the introverted feeling way of how people do things. I really care about being able to empathize with people like individually, but I feel like EFJs, when they explain how things should be, it's always very accurate. I'm kind of harsh because I'm like, have you been able to do that at all times if you're preaching it? When really they're like, no, I'm not perfect. And I think that maybe I expect if someone's talking about that they should be able to do it at all times. But that's like unfair of me to think. Really, when an EFJ gets into their introverted feeling, they are so good at explaining the best practices and what to do. And if we didn't have that as a handbook, or sort of handbook at times, I think that we would still be floundering around. I think that it takes extroverted feeling for societal change to happen. I think that as an NFP, I really get how people psychologically work on an individual level, but I fucking hate advising anyone on what to do. But when FJs do it, it always makes sense. They're Js. They also care about results. And I think that I tend to be like able to dismiss that in favor of TE efficiency. But really though, FJs are so fucking inspiring, especially when ENFJs and ESFJs too. When EFJs know what they're talking about, it's amazing to watch. Like, they can't pretend to know it. They're going to be passionate about subjects they feel strongly about, but they're never going to be changing your mind. You're just going to be kind of watching them like, whoa, yeah, you're right. They'll always give you something to think about. They always say it in a way that just, it sticks in your mind after. Like, I'm the kind of person where, with my TE, if I think that someone is wrong, I'll implicitly want them to change as opposed to try to see their perspective, which EFJs seem to do a lot of. See, ironically, my values are closed-minded is bad. So if you invalidate this value, then I will just write you off. It's like funny because it's basically like, if I don't value closed-mindedness, then anyone who's open-minded, even if they're evil, I will listen to. But I think that FJs are really good at not letting their individual values overshadow what they think should be done, should be right. And often I feel like I judge them if I think things like, oh my god, you're so ungrateful, or oh my god, you're so self-righteous, when really they're just trying to do what's best for everyone. And I'll be like, oh my God, you're so like blah, 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 and like judge them individually and then they get confused because they think I have a problem with what they're saying when really I have a problem with the tone and context in which it came out. But yeah, I think that one thing I hate about EFJs is they're bad at their introverted sensing or introverted intuition, which means that sometimes they just don't understand where I'm coming from. But what I forget is if Megan's literally still talking to me, it means she wants to work it out. Well, no matter how bad we fought, we always somehow end up surviving. When so many times I would just feel like my mom would just give up, or I would give up, and I'd be like, there's always going to be a rift because your introverted thinking is too stubborn to accept I don't have it, and I'm too stubborn to accept that you're not going to change. But really, only through my ENFJ best friend have I grown as much as I did. Here are examples of things that I would still think if she weren't around. 1, my reality isn't real. That's a lie. But I've noticed it more as I've studied MBTI that I will often trick myself into believing things and giving into my own fear. As a concept, I don't like to think that I let fear control my actions, but I really do. Like, I've self-sabotaged so many times with guys or friends that it required Megan pulling me out. She'd be like, you were just afraid of that. That's not actually true. She uses her tertiary extroverted sensing to be like, nope, NE, you're just imagining things that aren't there. Like, I used to really think that, like, my thing is like, oh my God, what if the sun just doesn't rise tomorrow or something? And then she literally will take time out of her day to explain to me this intuitive concept of why there are such things as probabilities, and just because a possibility is possible doesn't mean it's actually probable. Some other things that ties into are things like, concepts that I have debunked because of Megan being the FE Dom who will pursue you until the truth comes out, is chaos is a given. Like, there will only ever be random shitty things or random good things that happen, and we have no control. She has really taught me that fighting for what you want and really believing in a rhyme and reason to things actually makes sense, because, I don't know, I guess I grew up thinking that everything I have is through luck, and everything I have is just fragile and ready to be snatched from me at any time. Like, I got all these cool internships, or friends, or boys that like me, because God was somehow nice enough to just randomly give it to me. And at any moment, God's gonna get mad at me, or God's gonna just be bored and take that away. Megan really does have a really good like grasp on how the world works and insights into things. And often she'll say like one thing that my NE didn't think of because I'll be too busy worrying about things or imagining things that aren't there, that she'll give me like a good reality check, which, you know, is good when I'm spiraling. Sometimes she can kind of stomp on my perspective if what I'm saying is valid, but she always wants to talk about it if I am not prideful enough to, humble enough to admit that I was hurt by something. Yeah, and she also taught me that appreciating and gratitude are different. Like, as a person, I'm just super like, I didn't have to get everything I have. For some reason I have it. Oh my God, like, I better be fucking grateful for everything. And I think a lot of ENFJs have trouble with that because their introverted intuition and introverted thinking is so strong. They just see that the world is based off a merit system at times. But I think that she taught me that appreciating things with extroverted sensing and not worrying about them slipping from you and kind of just YOLO the moment is important. And I think that when I started embracing that, I got less fearful and got more perceptive. And now I don't believe everyone's out to get me or the world's just gonna fail on me. I try harder to do courageous things, and really only EFJs have ever challenged me enough, and especially ENFJs. Only they have ever challenged me enough to like check myself before I wreck myself, or to just shower me with love or worry about me when no one else is. And, you know, I hate expectations, and I think I interpret a lot of what they do as expectations because they don't use extroverted thinking to explain it to me. But I've had some of the most fruitful conversations of all time with Megan and with ENFJs and even ESFJs. You know, I really do think that despite everything that may bug me about it, introverted thinking without extroverted thinking just doesn't get tricked. FJs can sometimes trick themselves, but they're not going to let other people just usurp their brains or get away with changing their perspectives. Every time they seem like, quote, pushovers, it's because they're being nice. Like, I don't value stubbornness, even though I ironically have it, and only an ENFJ could have told me that I was stubborn. So, yeah, like, I think that sometimes as NFPs, we get so caught in our own perspectives. Like, we're like, the world works this way. I just see it this way. It is this way. Everyone works this way. Everyone is capable of introverted feeling. And if you're not using it correctly, then that means you are mean, not just dumb or different. And like, FJs really see people for individually how they are. And I just never appreciated that. Because I think I can kind of understand people when I like go in deeper and such, but FE is always thinking about how people are different. They're always trying. I would say that like TJs can naturally understand me, but they're not going to try as hard to love me as an FJ will. And whether I accept that love or not is subjective. But yeah, I'm inspired by EFJs all the time because, yeah, I don't have good introverted thinking, but I definitely have more of it now, or an awareness of it, because of them. I also have no fucking clue if this video was me just complaining, but also qualifying how much I love FE, but I also feel like if I showed this video to Megan, she's not gonna be like, you're so mean. She's gonna be like, oh, you tried so hard, and like, I hate to admit how mushy I am, but I really fucking care a lot about that. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, if this were an ENFJ video, they'd be like, comment below, let me know what you think, but I don't really know if I can handle what you guys think, because I'm just, like, in my subconscious TI is just beating myself up, because I'm like, this video was such a fucking long ramble, why would anyone have gotten this far? So, you got this far, you can let me know, you can not let me know, I think I'll be fine either way, but yeah, look for me in more future collabs with Megan. There, I said it. Now I have to do it. But I don't know how to end these. So yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you learned something. If you didn't learn something, I hope that it like was interesting to listen to at least. I don't know. Okay, bye.